My name is Travis Dempsey. I began my career at Mountain Air as a teacher and coach, and then eventually high school principal at Mountain Air High School. And then my first opportunity as superintendency came up in Cloudcroft. I spent the last 5 years at Cloudcroft. I was beginning my 6th year there. So now I'm here at Gadsden. I would say that if you look back to some of those successes, I think we were able to tackle. As I came into Cloudcroft, we had a shift in administration, and I got to bring in kind of a whole new administrative team, which is not always the case that you get to do. And I realize we're talking about a pretty small little district, but I had that opportunity. With that, we were able to, as we began, based on school grading, we had some struggles in our elementary middle. By about 3 years in, our middle school was a national blue ribbon school, and we're one of two districts in this. We were one of two districts in the state of New Mexico that the last 3 years we carried an A across the district, and so those are some. But that was a lot of when people ask how'd you do that, I would say our admin meetings were a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and there seriously were some tears at times. But I think we had an administrative team there that said we're not about excuses. And we worked pretty hard, I think, to try to take some things off teachers' plates, but also help them focus on the things that we think are the non-negotiables. And so that's similar to as I transitioned here to Gadsden, a much bigger administrative team. What I've tried to do, the timeline to come in is interesting because the year was already going. And so I came in October, the year's already rolling. So what I've tried to do is just try to sit back and assess what are we doing right now and where are we at? How do we then take some really strategic steps to move forward and progress? Probably some of the things that we're working right now is to try to drill down in how do we know something's working? And so, for example, this week I've got a team that is going to be our data team that we're headed to Quality New Mexico meeting. And Quality New Mexico is an organization that tries to help share some best practices. They don't always work in education. In fact, most of the people that facilitate and do the teaching in this training that we'll be attending are members of Sandia and Los Alamos Labs. And so we try to take the knowledge they have and implement that in a school system. Many hospitals will use a model called Baldrige. And so this is a lot of that Baldrige training. And so the idea is to try to assess the quality and what is actually happening in each program. And so part of it is go slow to go fast. And so we want to try to determine some mechanisms we're going to use to measure the success of our programs. And try to put those at every level to make sure we're spending money well and we're getting a bang for our buck. And if we're not, why aren't we? And try to drill down to that. And so we've got a team headed out. In fact, this evening we're taking off and we'll be gone for the next couple of days in Albuquerque working on that piece. So right now I would say my focus would be to ensure that I know what we're delivering out at our buildings. And then the question would be, are we working in mechanisms to ensure we're measuring that success? And if we're not being successful, what are we going to do to change that? We're also really trying to ramp up training, teacher training, administrative training, so that we spend considerable time this summer putting in a little bit of extra time and paying our staff to come in to do some extra work so that our scope and sequence and what we deliver is well prepared for August. And I'll credit the previous superintendent for allowing me to do that. And the reason why I say that is financially, this district is in a fabulous place, and that gives me the latitude to make those decisions and be able to bring in for like some summer training. We're calling them boot camps. So we have science boot camp and math boot camp that we're working on, and those are week-long trainings that we'll bring in staff to work on that. But without those financial resources, as I rolled in, I wouldn't be able to pull that off, and so I really appreciate that work that's been done. I think a lot of people also know that our bilingual program and our dual language programs are really important to our communities. And so we're looking at some possibilities around dual language and maybe to even about 6 6 of our elementary schools are true dual language schools. The others are transitional. So the idea with dual language is you want to emphasize that academic language, and so we're looking at the possibility in our Gadsden cluster. So it would be the schools that feed Gadsden High School to create a K-12 dual language track, and we're working on that project, and I think we can begin to roll that out. You know, it'll take a couple years to get the kids in that cycle, and so I think we're probably looking at the 1920 school year to begin that process, but we're doing all the homework now to make sure that we can put the people in place to deliver this. You've got to have the right staff with all the credentials they need, and it's not just credentials, it's the desire to really believe and buy into that. And so we've got to put the right people in the right places, so we really want to do that. So that's one of the bigger projects that we're working on. In this size of district, we always have facility things going on. I will tell you that I think our facility department has done an amazing job to capture the state dollars that roll out and match those with our local tax dollars to put some great things in place. We're working really hard with technology, and probably in the next couple of years headed towards some one-to-one initiatives at our high schools. I'm super excited about our early college high school. It's one of the reasons that enticed me to come to Gadsden. In a small district like Cloudcroft, you don't ever get the opportunity to play with the early college high school, and Alta Vista Early College High School is something that I just think over the next couple of years can be an amazing mechanism to plug our kids into this workforce. And the idea is they have their associate's degree when they graduate from high school, and so that's a pretty amazing thing to have. And I think that's really, to be honest with you, the future of high schools. I think that's where this thing's headed. I'm working with a group out of Las Cruces called The Bridge, who have been amazing. Every time they want to set up a meeting with me, I've told my assistant, blow open my calendar, because they always just bring resources to me. It's not that they're asking me for anything, they're bringing me things that can help me and benefit our district. And we're working on what we're calling a blended senior year. So we understand dual credit, we understand early college high school, but the way we currently deliver dual credit is a little complicated, quite frankly. And our DACC they're really shouldering the financial burden of it. Now, we're responsible for the textbook sides, and the state funds about a third of that. And that's not fun that they're only dealing with a third of it, but we can get through that piece. The DACC and other, NMSU, Alamogordo and others, they're shouldering that financial burden almost 100%. I mean, there's a little mechanism for them, but it sure isn't much. This blended senior year would put a tag on, this is what it costs. And the idea being, the philosophy being, if we waited till our students' senior year, then they're the most mature as a high school we're ever going to see them. So then they're probably best prepared to handle that college level work. And so it would be, in essence, their senior year would be accomplished simultaneous with their freshman year of college. And so Tracy with The Bridge has helped me maybe possibly secure some funding from Kellogg so that we can put an earmark. The idea being that we start with maybe a cohort of 25 students, grow that to 75 in year 2, and then 100 in year 3. Then we can go back to our legislature and say, if you wanted to do something like this and deliver dual credit this way, here's the cost. Because right now, they don't really seem to understand the cost associated with what this thing looks like. And so I'm pretty excited. We're probably going to kick that off at ST High School as soon as August. And like I said, a cohort of 25 students is where we'll start, and then grow that to 75, and then year 3 would be 100. It would end at year 3 because it's really just a pilot project. But I think what it does is define the cost. It also defines the process to do this and what it could look like. And so for our students, I think one of the best things or most important pieces of this is to get our students onto those campuses and get them comfortable. The other reality is, if I can do that, the hurdle for me to overcome is transportation expenses. And so if I can get them on those campuses, then the opportunities just are as wide as what they offer. So I might be a student who's more CTE oriented, where I'm interested in a welding program. Well, let's get you there. I may be a student that's very interested in medical career field. Let's get you to those prerequisites. I might be interested in engineering. Let's get you to those. So if I can deliver it on that campus, that blows that door open and really wide. The other question is the reality of some of our communities, and Gadsden has this rural side of the world, is like I said, that transportation is the biggest hiccup. So Chaparral, for example, if we were to try to deliver this in an online environment, there's going to be some limits to what opportunities we can capture. That's not to say we can't do it, but there's some complexities to that. So we're trying to tease our way through that, and we got Dr. Moorhead with the bridge and Tracy helping us kind of put those things together. So I am super excited about that possibility.